Raise a hand if you've heard of the lead model. That's okay. So probably about 15, 20% of the room. So what is lead? And then we'll kind of mirror that up against access.
Lead is an outgrowth of prior generations of models in the accountable care space. Unlike access, which you could call really a Gen 1 model of how we should approach paying for care management using agentic solutions, this approach for lead is really an outgrowth of the ACO space, where the prior answer for ACOs for value unlock and creation may have been a role of care coordination, a role of getting information, helping people engage in their care, but also to some extent reflecting risk on the population. Whereas we saw an opportunity when thinking through the future of the ACO structure to say, actually, as we've removed, we being CMS, have removed the diagnosis, the appropriate and accurate documentation of risk as a valuable lever, technology has seemingly met this moment with a new lever, and how can we encourage its adoption? So the classic way an ACO works is you look at the patients who get the plurality of their evaluation and management visits from one of the providers who sign up with this ACO. So these three physician groups band together. Between them, they have 150 doctors. They form an accountable care organization. We look at the patients that 150 doctors care for. Let's say all those patients, we're going to make our math easy, cost $100 in total. Really cheap patients. So let's assign to that $150 doctors the $100 and say, if you could hold down spend, you keep the delta. If spend increases, you're on the hook for it. Now, there's complexity in that, because if we say that if you hold down spend, we'll let you keep it this year, but then next year we're going to look at the new $95 baseline and rebase you down to that, suddenly the hamster wheel seems to be getting faster every year, and it gets hard to sustain. So that was one thing we were confronting. Another thing we were confronting is that we haven't really maximized the flexibility of these entities to deliver care. We haven't let you go out and do all the things that you might have wanted to do to increase care and access for people, whether it's in terms of giving them benefits, letting them waive cost sharing as they're going to see a particular doctor who you know will help prevent downstream costs, and you want them to see that specialist instead of somebody else. We should let you say, hey, you don't have to pay a copay if you're going there. We'll pick up that cost. A lot of the flexibilities Medicare Advantage plans have had in terms of marketing or in terms of buying down the Part D premium, you weren't able to do. And so when we were looking at what the future of the accountable care organization approach, the approach for physicians to take on global total cost of care responsibility, we wanted to give more flexibilities to let systems and independent practices meet this moment and leverage technology to take cost down. And so there's more flexibilities than before, whether it's the Part D premium buy down, the Part B cost sharing waiver as you're engaging with the right folks who you want, whether it's giving more supports for patients as part of the structure. Hospitals and doctors who are in a value-based care arrangement have a level of flexibility that they have never had before if they choose to adopt lead, to leverage new solutions from people like those in this room to say, let's take cost out of the structure. Let's not optimize on a fee-for-service billing encounter, and we know we won't be penalized over a 10-year period for that decision.
Why not?
Because we're going to lock in your baseline based off how it was structured before and not rebase you as you're holding spend down.
Till when? For 10 years?
We set up a 10-year model in lead. And the other thing that we've done here is we've taken an approach that looks at you, whether you are historically higher cost or lower cost than the region you're in. Previously, one of the key things that an entity forming an accountable care organization would have to think through is a ton of thought actuarially on optimization of who was in the ACO. Because we blended your historic costs with the region, if you historically cost more than your region did, as it was blended, you would end up saying, hey, you're paying me less than I would otherwise, than I'm expected to spend. So I'm starting underwater, and therefore it's very hard to succeed. Versus if you historically cost less than your region did, let's say you've succeeded in an ACO approach in the past, then what you're looking at is automatic margin as you come in. So what we wanted to do is make this equation with lead work for both parties. And so we did a webinar on the financial methodology a couple of weeks ago. where we detailed this. More will be spelled out in the actual RFA. But what we said is, if you if you're a group that, let's say, did not have the experience with risk historically, we will basically pay you based off your historic costs, meaning when we do the blend with the region, we'll have a plus up. The other thing we've said is we will form a wedge for people who we know would have cost more in the baseline period if they hadn't been in a risk arrangement. We will pay that system based off where we expect them to have been rather than where they actually were in the baseline period. So we recognize that the care coordination, the efforts to invest to reach people, creates savings, and we recognize that savings in saying by coming into this new model, you're not being penalized for the past success. And that creates a sustainable structure, because if we certify LEAD a decade from now, you know that that's the methodology that has been certified for how to do it. And so this creates an opportunity where I think LEAD should work for more systems than REACH did. And we're giving people multiple years to come in, so they don't all have to decide for 1/127. You could join 1/128 if that's right for you. But I expect this to proliferate as more people come on board and engage with it, and that to make a market for systems to be really interested in how to augment their workforce and how to increase the scale of what their physicians and clinicians can do.
So the way that I'm understanding it is Access is really a technology-focused model. That's really what it's paying for, and it's kind of pushing the envelope on what can be accomplished to remove costs using technology. And then the kind of cousin model is LEAD, that will be more focused on, hey, here's what you're doing today, let's figure out how to optimize it, and let's incentivize for that.
Both of these are accountability models that pay for outcomes. Both of them seem like things where it will be easier to succeed if you use technology. I think systems that do a lot of care coordination can have an impact, but systems that do that using technology can have that more efficiently and more scale within LEAD. Similarly, in Access, we did not bar you if you are not using technology from being in the model. That's not a requirement built in, but I think it would be really hard in the structure we set up to make it work with a very heavy clinician workforce trying to succeed in Access.
Yeah, I think we can all agree to that in this room. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so